let's say you make it on Shark Tank, and everybody's like, oh, like Joshua Esnard, he's the inventor of the Cut Buddy. Oh, I'm gonna troll or whatever. I'm gonna buy JoshuaEsnard.com. Now you don't even own your own freaking name. This is Sita and Garrett Lash of From Idea to Invention, and a podcast for inventors and small business owners. Hey, husband man.
Hey, wifey.
I don't know if I like wifey because of that one song from back in the day.
Most folks don't remember that song, wifey.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, they do.
It's a good thing.
All right, but I'd rather be a boo thing or something like that, not a wifey.
All right, boo thing.
So today we are going to talk about kind of some business 101s. I guess that's what we'll call it. Because a lot of times we get questions from different individuals that kind of starting on the path and just want to know some basics.
Right.
On some how-tos and some do's and some don'ts.
Kind of starting them from point A to point Z. And
I don't know about all the way to Z.
Well, but at least starting at point A.
Yeah, definitely
right.
Point A. And then there's A subclause 1.5 subclause 76-99.
Yeah. But if you think about it though, it can be a daunting task. When you have an idea or you have a product or a service, and you're just like, okay,
you got an idea. What do I do?
What in the world do I do with this idea?
Right. What do I do with this? I know I've got something. What is my first move? What should be my second move?
Right.
And that type of stuff. But I don't really know if there's like a first, second. We kind of conquered it one issue at a time.
Yeah, but see, to your point, ours was based on, we kind of evolved based on how we tackled the issues that came out versus a proactive approach to saying, okay, all right, here are some things I know that I have this idea or whatever, and I should tackle these things first. So I can avoid the issues.
We did have a little bit of counsel in the very beginning because remember I was talking to, I'm not going to say his name.
No.
We're not going to say his name. Some counsel that ended up needing counsel.
Yeah, he needed some counsel, all right. But either way.
But and thank God the Lord had me covered because that could have been an ugly situation. But we that's when your Holy Spirit, the gut kicks in like, you maybe not should.
Right.
That's one thing.
So
101, listen to your gut.
Yeah, 101 is when you have your idea, your service or your product, the first thing, and if you believe in a higher power, you need to seek guidance from that higher power. You really need to kind of sit and gather in your heart of hearts and thought of thoughts about what your intention is for that service product that you're going to provide. And number one, write that down and get that clear and begin to think about what problem that product or service is solving. And then from there, begin to document and journal your thoughts around that. Before you even go through to implement, to push anything out, you need to have a clear vision as the owner, the founder of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say once you come to terms with that vision of what you've written down, and everything within your spirit is in line, and you're calm about it, then you need to seek counsel. And I firmly believe that God will place in front of you
who you need
to talk to, because if you've gone to him in the first place about it, and you've talked about it, and you prayed about it, and you meditated on it, and he'll place the people in front of you that you need to talk to,
mm-hmm.
to flush it out even more. And I'm not saying that this is, a year, a 5-year long process, but you need to take
that part is a continuing process.
It's a continuing,
never stops.
But you should start that there,
right?
Because
I think
it prevents.
It just makes things a whole lot easier.
A lot easier. Prevents so many roadblocks.
At least for us, it made things a whole lot easier. Yeah. But the other thing is, I was going to say, I just had that thought. There's so much information out there that's free, and guidance that's free, and especially for startups. Literally, fresh. I have this idea. What do I do? So, first thing is avoid paying anybody for that very is it called granular advice from the very
But I mean, I would recommend really to Sita's point about not paying anyone, because there's a lot of information that's free, is literally starting on the SBA's website.
Start with the SBA, and SBA is Small Business Association.
Right. And then also any podcast, any entrepreneurial podcast or YouTube videos, and actually begin right. Remember eye to eye, right? And so but then that way you begin to educate yourself.
Yeah, because podcasting wasn't a thing when we were starting.
It wasn't strong.
It wasn't strong like it is now. But
you begin to educate yourself, and you become a more well-rounded and
online university. Right. You're taking other people's
learned entrepreneur, and you're able to kind of take everybody's things that you hear from different people and begin to piece together your own plan.
Right.
To where it becomes just an easier journey. Now, mind you, as you're creating this plan, in the overall pieces, there are some milestones in the plan that every single entrepreneur has to go through.
Right.
And
if you need,
it won't be easy.
No. And if you need guidance on that part, that's where we say, there's your SBDC, there's a small business development center, and usually those are within small there. I know Georgia State has one. One that we went through was in Illinois.
Yeah, but the University of Georgia.
Is it University of Georgia?
Yeah, it's their overall system. So it's we're based out of Georgia,
right?
And so they have the University of Georgia's the college system.
Mm-hmm.
All the public schools within the state of Georgia are part of this system.
Okay.
This network,
and it's usually state by state.
Yeah,
but
state by state.
The thing that's crazy is we were in Illinois when we started, and they referred me, and I was going through the SBDC at Harper Community College, and they referred me to the University of Georgia's plan for starting your being able to create your business plan. So, in other words, Georgia is the roadmap that everybody kind of goes by because they've got it down.
Right.
They got their stuff together. But so when we come back, we'll talk about after and the very beginning stages of what we went through when starting Puff Cuff around 2013 or so, what all we did.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in a few seconds with more of Eye to Eye.
My name is Lexi, aka Lexi with the Curls, and I was one of the co-hosts today at Ditch the Band 2019, sponsored by the Puff Cuff. So I love the puff cuff because I can do quick little styles, and sometimes I just don't have enough time to actually fully do my hair, but this is like a whole style, and it literally took about 6 to 7 seconds. So you can get so many different looks out of it. So I love the puff cuff for the versatility and for the different styles that I can do. I would recommend the puff cuff for anyone that likes a good, easy hairstyle. So whether you have long hair, short hair, and I love that also, if I were to use a band, one, it could create a lot of damage. Also, you can't really get it to be big and puffy. So I like having my hair I like it big. I want my puff to be big. And so this gives me that effect with that versus using like a rubber band.
Hey there, Puff Cuff Nation. This is Garrett here with my lovely wife, Sita, for Eye to Eye. And today we're talking about really like business 101 for entrepreneurs. And we left out of the last segment talking about how the first few steps that an entrepreneur or an inventor should have and should take. And so we're going to now kind of segue into how we did our thing in the beginning and how we did it and what the roadblocks were and what some lessons learned that we got out of the beginning stages. And actually also some of the good things that happened in our beginning stages, even though, some people I think a lot of people, if they hear the full story, would understand. God was just kind of placing things in front of you. So, Sita, you want to kind of start us off on the beginning?
Sure. In the beginning, when I first had the idea, I didn't know where to start, in all honesty. And then, and it was Garrett was working. What were you working for at that point? You were working for Allstate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, full time at Allstate. I was working as a freelance graphic designer at Harper Community College, and that's where actually what I was saying earlier comes into play, is because when I had the idea, I knew it was. I guess at that time I might not have really known the difference between having a product versus having a business. I had a product at that time, but I thought it was a business. And it used to confuse me because when I would watch on Shark Tank, they're like, I think that's more of a product than a business. I'm like, ain't that the same thing? But unbeknownst to me, it's two totally different things. But our product ended up being a business, but it did not start out as a business. It started out as a product, but I did not know that. So I approached it as if it was a business. So with that, I went to the Small Business Development Center at Harper College and then had guided counselor. And she was like, well, you really need to start with your business plan. And I'm like, okay, cool. Who can I hire to write that for me?
She's like,
and she's like,
I don't think that's,
it was almost like one of those, look at this poor thing. God bless her heart.
She's so cute.
She was like, no, you really need to write it yourself. And I'm like, but I don't write. And she's like, well, you need to learn. So and then they gave me, actually, it was University of Georgia's, they give you, at that time, it was before, there was, the Google was big, but I don't know. I ended up with a paper packet.
Yeah, right.
Instead of a download.
They didn't tell you to go online.
Right. It wasn't like a go online and you could just fill in all, the automatic PDF. But I had to actually go and read through the packet, and it was an outline, and I filled in the outline. But what it did is it made me actually, really have to do the research to find out who my market was. And that's a large part of what a lot of us don't do. Because, you may have a great idea and it's really cool for you and, some of your friends. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have a market that's really that you can identify and say that this market spends this much money and these are their habits and this will fill or fix the need of one of their habits, then you really don't have a solid plan, because you might have an idea, but who's going to buy it? And that came from doing
that came from them forcing you into doing the business plan.
Doing the business plan, right?
But like from our last segment, right, when I said that you need to up front really gather your thoughts together and document it.
Yeah, but
You would have been steps ahead.
But I didn't know what to gather.
No. But all I'm saying is gathering what you think the problem is that you're solving about your product, just in general, just a general view of, I have this service and this service does X, and I know that it's there to solve this gap that's in the industry, and begin to jot down what that is.
But you know what? I'm hearing you, but you're coming from that corporate mentality where you used to breaking stuff down like that.
That's why in this podcast, I understand that you weren't there at that time. I was
like, you know what? I'm working with myself, by myself. I couldn't see I couldn't see that. So it took them to say, these are the questions you need to ask. I didn't even know what questions to ask myself.
I know. But for this podcast, we're letting them know what to ask.
I know, but I'm just saying there's other people.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to let you know.
While you were sitting at your desk at Allstate, I was trying to figure out.
I was trying to make sure we had some food on the table.
Yes, and the kids could go to the dentist. I know. But I'll just tell you from that experience, that's where it really just like opened my eyes to be like, okay, I've got to step outside myself and do my due diligence in order to at least start in the right direction. So from there, but that was the business. They helped me write my business plan, which actually still is the foundation of our current business plan, which is right. Interesting. So I'm so glad we did that in the very beginning, because it's just been like a working document, and it continues to build. And then it also helped us write our pitch deck, our investor deck, our media kit. It was like the springboard of everything. And I think if we hadn't have done that before, it'd have been a much harder process to, have the documents and all the stuff that we have now. Because even when we go to people, even though it didn't help us get any financing, but that's a whole nother situation, whatever. Even though they're like, wow, your business plan is great, but don't you have 3 uncles that could lend you $30,000? Hell no.
Okay, you going down another rabbit hole.
Okay, that's not right. That's a squirrel. But anyway, but the
thing is, okay, I'm going to let you finish your thought process, but we want people.
You just said that was a squirrel.
No. But we want people in podcast land to understand.
You still got to have it.
You have to, no matter how much you say you can't write, you don't know no business. You have to force.
No. You don't know what you don't know. Right.
You have to force yourself.
Right.
To begin your business plan.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're
all over the place.
You're all over the place, and you'll fall into many traps.
Yep.
Now continue.
Okay. So after that is when we were like, okay, we should start probably protecting ourselves. So I think the next thing I did was I had my name. I'm a graphic designer, so I had the logo. Next was we did the LLC. And we did our LLC in Delaware because that's what we were advised to do. So we, because I guess at Delaware it has better tax something with your taxes something like that. So we did Delaware. So our LLC is established in Delaware. We had a lawyer do it for us, but now we're a foreign corporation in Georgia. And then I did the patent process by networking with different people that I was introduced to at the college. So I found my manufacturer at the college, and he introduced me to my CAD engineer, and then he also introduced me to my patent attorney. So we were blessed with a great patent attorney. His name is John Poza out of
Michigan.
No, he's in Savannah now.
Oh, my bad, John.
Yeah, he moved. He also moved south. He was in Michigan. But we were all like, you know what? Deuces on the snow.
We migrating to the south. No.
So he's in Savannah. I believe, is he with Dins? I'm not going to say, but his name is John Poza.
Posa.
Yes, he is our patent attorney. So we started that process then, and then I did my own registration, trademarking the Puff Cuff logo, and I learned a process with that. But I did that on my own, doing it through uspto.gov.
Can I interject real quick? So for those in podcasts,
What if I had said no?
Then now you just would have been hearing me.
Right. I'd keep on going anyway.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So those in podcast land who are listening, so you went from the business plan action
Mm-hmm.
to incorporating your service or your business
With an LLC.
with an LLC.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to beginning to investigate and implement how to protect your intellectual property
Right.
and trademarks.
Right.
And
all of that is intellectual property. Right.
Right.
In your trademark or intellectual property.
it could be, but just so that if you go to United States Office of
United States Patent and Trademark Office.
You can do this all online, really yourself, on how to begin to do the intellectual property and the trademarking, and it'll step you through the process of making sure out of the gate that you begin to be protected.
What? I forgot.
What?
There was a process before that. I did do my own patent searches on Google Patent Search.
Mm-hmm.
So not Google, you have to go to Google Patents, and then you can start typing in keywords and stuff, and you can kind of get an idea
Right.
of, if your idea is out there somewhere, if there's any previous art, or if the art has already, if the art is public domain or anything like that, or just anything that you might come up, that the Patent and Trademark Office might pull up as something that you may infringe upon. So I kind of did that first before we went to the patent attorney.
So can I ask a question?
You sure can.
For those who, we didn't have much money, right? So those who have between
Zero to nothing?
negative to nothing, nothing money to a couple of dollars when they're starting out, right? So is there a way for them to do some of this and to get some protection while they're going through how to officially get the protection? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but no one has any money. I'm just saying, majority of us ain't got no money. We might have a credit card or two, but basically what's coming into the house is going out of the house to support the house.
Shoot, half the people we talk to from a bank think that everybody got money.
Well, that's because they're delusional. That's a whole nother conversation. So, point blank, you're going to have to get in your mind, you're going to have to spend some money.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
But I think what people get scared about is they don't really know how much money. They think it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have thousands and thousands of dollars.
And
that's not necessarily true. All patent attorneys aren't made the same. We were fortunate enough to have one that worked for a firm. And I mean, it's his philosophy too, that is very, budget conscious. So I knew it wasn't going to be tens of thousands of dollars, but I knew I was going to have to spend some thousands. Excuse me. Do not do that whole, I think a provisional patent is a waste of time.
Oh yeah.
Because it doesn't do anything to protect you. It just kind of gives you the, that right to say I was the first to file, but it doesn't mean that you're protected really. And because of the patent laws and everything, that first to file can get kind of cloudy or whatever. So I would say, just go ahead and find a patent attorney that is very conscious that you don't have a whole, just money just to throw away, and we'll work with you and, get in your mind, maybe you're going to have to spend $3,000 to $4,000. I'm pretty, it's just the way it is. And they're like, well, what if it doesn't go through? That's just a risk you have to take.
Cost of doing
There's
business.
the cost of, there you go. Who said that the other day? And we were like, what? It's the cost of doing business. But at least then and you're that much further ahead of the game because you won't be producing an idea and then you're not covered. That, and then the trademarks, they're very reasonable. It's like $200 every time, like $253.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you file a trademark and you don't do because you can also research your trademarks or you research your names prior to submitting the application. So I always say do that. Do your due diligence. Just don't go in and just, be excited and just, straight out the gate without doing your due diligence and searching. So search the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office database, see if there's anything closed, see if there's anything that might infringe upon you, because they're definitely going to find it, and you will spend your money before they find it.
Right.
So like Puff Cuff was already used, but it was what do you call it? It was a dead application.
Expired. Okay.
So it was available. There was another company using it. Actually, it was, we'll talk about, we got to get ready to go. Yeah, okay. So we'll tell you about what Puff Cuff, who was using Puff Cuff before we had Puff Cuff, and 2 and 2. I forgot what game show that was from, but we'll be right back with Eye to Eye.
Yeah, okay. Shine. Listen.
I got a puff cuff in my hair and it's clear. Try not to interfere with the facts I'm about to share. People love it. They love it cause there's nothing to compare. And when something does appear, it's not real, it's a fake, have no fear. It works with dreads and worse with curly hair. You won't go through the wear and tear of using bands. Oh yes, I swear you might just have a love affair. And I'm not saying that you should be well aware. The thing might end up in your thoughts and in your prayers.
The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail. The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail.
I want you to hear, listen, that this one is clear. For all of you color-haired people, we wanna see all that vibrant hair twinkle. Shine. Wake up, Puff been done. This is the one who begun, the dreams that became, the bronze in the brain, the change of the game, the company name.
The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail. The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail.
Love it.
So we are back with Eye to Eye, from Idea to Invention, a podcast for inventors and small businesses. Yay! So we were talking about Puff Cuff.
Yep.
The name Puff Cuff.
Yeah.
So Puff Cuff actually was already being used by a company who, it was like a leash that you would use. It was a leash.
But don't call it a leash.
It's a leash.
It was an armband.
No, it was a cuff hooked to a leash, so you could be hooked to your hookah pipe. Hookah, whatever.
Don't want to lose the hookah.
How do you pronounce it? Is it hookah? Hookah?
You know, we don't use them.
Yeah, we just call it a crack pipe. No.
Oh, see, you bad, see.
Hooked to your hookah pipe. Mm-hmm. So when you got high, you didn't lose.
Don't lose the hookah pipe.
Right, you just didn't lose which one you puffed on last.
Hey.
So you...
Because you can't puff pass on that
right. You can't puff pass. So they were using the name.
You're giving too much information.
No, I'm not.
About your past.
No,
girl.
that I didn't. You the one that said it first, Kappa.
Because hey,
Kappa outside.
Don't bring my organization up in this piece.
So
leave that alone.
Right. I'm not part of the Greek life. So I was a good girl during college.
Shout out to my Divine Nine. Yo. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about. So they were using it, but they did not trademark it, and they had not bought. Oh, and the other thing is you got to buy your domain names. You buy that even if you're not ready to create your website.
Yeah.
Buy your domain name so no one else takes it, because someone actually did own puffcuff.com when we started the business. So we've gone through a couple of different changes, but let me finish, because if you derail me, I'll totally forget what I'm talking about. Yes, she was. He was about to do something.
It was going to go.
See, and you're still talking.
I bet. This is going to go right in line with what you're talking about. Come on, don't forget. Come on.
Okay, so we were doing the trademarks. So what I learned was, in the very beginning, I trademarked the artwork, which is actually the designed graphic of my logo, and I thought that protected me. But what ended up happening is another company came out and they called themselves the Puff Cuff. Puff, Puff space CUFF.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do their research because we were already established. So if anybody searched up Puff Cuff on the Google, they're going to find us. This particular company, they created it's a lap pillow for nursing mothers. So it was a puff and a cuff, I guess. I don't know. So what ended up happening is they trademarked that PUFF space
okay.
CUFF. And I'm like, I paid for this already. I'm the Puff Cuff. Well, what I found out is I registered the graphic, not the word. So they, in essence, could not use my graphic, but they could still use the word. And they were in a different category. Our products were two totally different categories.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, oh, okay. Oops, no one told me. So then I had to go back and you can register a graphic or you can just register the letters. So then I had to go back and register the letters.
So when you say that register in the letters, is it just the orientation of the letters?
No styling. Just no styling.
Just the letters.
Just the letters. Just,
okay.
Yeah, the Greek, whatever our alphabet is called. Just PUFF, CUFF, still with no space.
Okay.
So that way it protects us from anybody coming in and using those letters that particular way.
Yeah.
Now we have to wait for, their brand, this nursing pillow, they're out in the market, but I would assume they're having a very difficult time because they only launched maybe about a year or two ago, where we had already had 3 years of Google searching and everything.
Right.
So because they didn't do their due diligence to see if anybody was using that name or owned that domain just takes the Google, you just put it in one time and you'll figure out if you should pick that name or not. They didn't do that. So I imagine that they're probably like, we don't sell a hair
clamp. We're not seeing anything.
Right.
So can I interject for those in podcast land? So it's good. You gave some really good information about doing the due diligence on the Google,
search your patent, do your patent search, do your trademark search.
And the level of due diligence that you can do up front to make sure.
On lunch, on your full time.
Right. Anytime.
Only on lunch. Don't search during regular business hours.
We don't want nobody getting fired. But either way, so, but you want to be able to do that level of due diligence so that when you decide on what your company name is, what your brand look should be, then they can go to the step that you were just mentioning about going through and trademarking everything and doing your registration of your domain name. So then that way you're not having to backtrack.
Right, you're not backtracking. So now in the land of social media, not only do you need to buy your domain name, you need to get your Instagram account, your Facebook account, your Snapchat account, your Twitter account. What else is there, Whitney? Your LinkedIn business page, your what is it? Pinterest. Is that it?
So really anything that you can think social media
But all name them the same thing.
Oh, preach that, sister. Say that again.
Name them the same thing. We are at the Puff Cuff everywhere, except for maybe YouTube. I think we're Puff Cuff Hair Clamp on YouTube.
So that name has to be the same on all channels.
We'll put it this way. If it can be the same, have it be the same on all channels. And that way your hashtags are kind of consistent too. So yeah, even if you don't have people are like, I'm not ready to build my site. It doesn't matter. We use GoDaddy. Go to GoDaddy or whatever domain buying service or whatever, and buy your domains. And also, because we own puffcuffhairclamp.com is where we started because someone already owned puffcuff.com. So we bought puffcuffhairclamp.com. Then we bought thepuffcuff.com. And then we bought puffcuff.com ended up becoming available. And then I bought that. And then I think did we own Puff Cuff Mail?
Yeah.
If not, we're going to buy it today.
So my question though is, you're for those who may be questioning, like, man, that's a lot of domains, a lot of stuff you're telling me to buy. What's the typical cost that you saw when it came to buying those domains?
Domains you mean the cost?
Yeah, the cost.
I was not paying attention when you asked that question. I'm sorry. That's why I made
so,
you repeat yourself. Because I'm looking to what are we talking about?
So you were saying about right? We bought all these associated domains for Puff Cuff. What was the typical cost so that people can kind of understand?
Domains are nothing. Domains $5, whatever, a year, whatever. Right. You can buy them out for so many years. Right. I think all of our domains we own for 20 years or something like that. And we do own Puff Cuff Mail, just in case.
Excellent.
But it's interesting because it comes when I do Puff Cuff Mail, female strippers comes up as one of them.
So, okay, that's another rat hole we go down. So those out in Puff Cuff land, podcast land. When you're doing your due diligence and you're coming up with your domains and you're honing down on what the name of your company is going to be and what your URL for your website is going to be and so forth, you can begin to buy these domains, and they really should not be that expensive for you to buy.
Right. And then the other thing is, like, when you start getting some traction, like what you need to do right now, and probably I think I already did it for myself.
I need to do it
and thank goodness this is airing a little later.
Yeah.
But once you get to be, starting getting more of a face on the internet and if you decide to start branding yourself, because that's another opportunity that you have when you're up and coming entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. You want to buy your name, because what will happen is, let's say you make it on Shark Tank and everybody's like, oh, like Joshua Esnard, he's the inventor of the Cut Buddy. Oh, I'm going to troll or whatever. I'm going to buy joshuaesnard.com. Now you don't even own your own freaking name.
Right.
Because there's just people out there that just like evil over good. So, or they're just trying to make a buck. I understand. Yeah. I don't understand, but yes, I wouldn't do that to somebody.
So and then that's a good point as far as when you're doing your due diligence and you're in that beginning stage of seeking the right counsel. Find people that are going to see where you're trying to go and understand where you're trying to go and help you talk these things out of your head, because they may bring things to your attention that you had no idea that you should have registered your name, right? Or you should, do these small things that you probably take for granted, but will protect you in the long run and could be, instrumental into some revenue generating streams down the road when you're creating your business. And one thing that, as Sita has been so eloquently kind of stepping us through some of this process. Hey, girl, I'm an educated man.
You're so articulate.
Thank you very much. Oh, that's a good inside joke for those who get that all the time. Wow, you're so articulate. Like, really? What else am I supposed to be? But that's a whole nother conversation. But there's one side of this, right, that we haven't kind of touched on in regards to the front end need for capital. And we talked about nobody really has a whole bunch of money when they start out. But there are some creative ways that you have to think through about getting capital to bootstrap your own business, so that you're not. It's better to be in debt to yourself than to somebody else. And what I mean by that is, for example, yes, in the start of Puff Cuff, Sita was the main full-time force, but the funding side, the funding of Puff Cuff we were fortunate enough through my job and as well as through some financial vehicles that we had put into place, like our life insurance policies and things in place that we could leverage for funding Puff Cuff initially. And so what I mean by that is, so for example, if you are working a 9-to-5, and I know there will be some financial planners out there that would say, no, don't you ever do this. But if you are working a 9-to-5 and you happen to have a 401k, that is an avenue of leveraging
some quick money from yourself.
Right. But you're paying back yourself. You literally will be paying back yourself. Or if you are savvy enough and you have a financial planner and you already have a retirement plan outside and you have a number of IRAs or whatever, you can work with your financial planner to figure out how to pull out some revenue capital out of those vehicles, and understanding what the tax implications are and how they will impact you down the road. You need to understand all that. But that's number 2. That's another avenue. Number 3, if you happen to have a life insurance policy, not necessarily, and I'm learning this other part now that I'll talk about, but if you happen to have a universal policy, as well as a term life policy, but we'll talk about the term life policy separately. But the universal life policy typically has a cash portion to that you are able to leverage for whatever you want. It's just like, taking out equity out of your home, you're taking it out of that life insurance policy. That's another avenue, but you also need to understand the tax implications of doing so, of pulling that money out. But number 1, you're also paying back yourself. And so if you hear a theme of what I'm saying about trying to be creative about getting upfront initial capital, be creative in a way to where you're able to pay back yourself, and not having to be dependent on an outside entity, whether it's a bank or venture capital, whatever. If you're just starting out, you want to be able to put yourself in that position to where, as you're building your business, you're able to pay yourself back. And you really, yes, you lose the time of that money being in the market or so forth, but you're also gambling on yourself. And there's no better person to gamble on than yourself. And if you're into and you know exactly what you are going to do and what your product and service can provide, and that it will be beneficial, there is no one better to gamble on than yourself. But you just have to have some courage and understand the implications of following those vehicles to get capital. Because, not everybody has that rich uncle or that rich daddy that can give them $1 million and just say, go ahead and do what you got to do. But you don't let that stop you from pursuing your dream that you have already begun to vet out and have begun to get some counsel and education on.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Please don't be scared. Oh, scared, my bad.
Yeah.
Don't be scared, because it's out there for the taking, and you can have everything that you so desire, but you just have to do your due diligence and be smart about it. So we're kind of coming out of this segment.
Do we have one more, or is that it?
We got one more segment.
Okay.
And we'll come back on the back end of this and talk some more and finish out the conversation.
I'm finishing up buying your domain name.
She's buying my domain name right now, y'all. This is your boy Garrett here for Eye to Eye. We'll talk to you when we come back. Hey, Puff Cuff Land, this is your boy G and your lady Sita on the other end for Eye to Eye. We're here.
Can they hear the music that we hear?
Probably not, but we just
Can they hear it?
Group. They can't hear it. They can't because of copyright issues.
What is she doing?
Why she bouncing like that? I want to be in the studio. Like, yeah.
Okay.
We just having too much fun today.
Right. Well, okay.
So we're back,
some
y'all.
Good music, so I really feel some kind of way that y'all can't hear it. But okay.
We're back, and we left off where Sita was educating us and the masses on at the point about registering your key information associated with your service, your business, your idea. And the cost of it shouldn't be too much when you register, whether you're with GoDaddy.com or whichever service provider you choose. And then I ended up finishing out with a couple ideas of how you can be creative in getting capital for your business when you're starting out, and utilizing the tools that you've already kind of have laid out, that you've been working in your 9-to-5 for over those years, and using that money to invest in yourself, and which will make it easier down the road, and you're not in debt to somebody else, but you're in debt to yourself. And you'd rather do that than being in debt to somebody else. So, but we're going to continue down the road about now you've registered your domains, got your names out, got everything ready. What's then
I think that ends up being a whole nother session.
Yeah, that'd
another podcast.
That'd be part 2 of the podcast. But
okay, because I think a big deal, and a lot of people have questions about patents. So we can talk more about that process.
You know what would be good?
What?
If we could get Alex to come in, our IP attorney. Because
we could, but I can tell you.
Well, I know you can. I'm just saying. It'd be a good addition.
But I ain't.
Girl, ain't nobody doubting your knowledge.
I'd be like, you know what? You need some validity by getting the IP. She just started working for us, just this last year.
Look,
but she is good because
she went to school for it.
Right. She did go to school for it. She went to a lot of school, and she making that money per hour too for all that schooling she got.
Girl, hush.
But she's great.
Yes,
they're great. Both of them are great. Alex and what's Marcy?
Marcy.
Yes, Atlanta IP attorney, Vivid IP.
Vivid IP.
Yes,
based out of Atlanta.
And she works with Mr. Posa.
Yep.
And so Posa got the patent, which is a different he's a separate attorney.
Explain that piece. Yeah.
Yeah. So Posa is our patent attorney, and he's the one who files our patent applications.
Mm-hmm.
But Vivid is our intellectual property attorneys. So they are the ones that are, they're the
litigators. So they go in and
they are the super women
they flex the muscle.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Keep it up. We got you in our sights. So, yeah. So we'll talk about that and another. But I want to talk to them about the patent process, which everybody seems to be so apprehensive and fearful about.
Mm-hmm.
And I get so many questions and emails with, how was the process? What did you do? What's to look for? What's that? And let me put this public service message out. Please don't email me 100 questions about the patent process. Email me and say, do you have time for us to have a call about the patent process? And then usually I will make time, but I am not going to reply back to a 100-question email with the whole process. You've got to do your part. I'm not going to do it for you. We are an open book, very transparent about.
But that's the beauty of, to that point though, that's the beauty of having the podcast, to where
it is the beauty of it.
We can have a separate session or a separate podcast that talks about that patent process, and then go into the detail that, that people need, and they can follow these simple steps to get that off the ground and running, and not be scared.
Right. Especially when you, I say, and the other thing is, I'm just going to put the service message out there.
Mm-hmm.
If we say we have time and we put you on the schedule and you don't, you stand me up, Right. I hear Isaac's like, Isaac. Yes.
Isaac done went to a spiritual.
Yep. So, yeah, you're pretty much, what is Mr. Wonderful? You're dead to me?
I thought you was going to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger part. You've been erased.
You're right. You're right. You have been erased. That too. But no, we're glad. I mean, our whole thing is that we had so many people on our journey be like, you know what? I'll counsel you for $50. No,
really?
No,
that doesn't make no.
You cannot
sense.
build the village doing that.
No.
But you also can't build the village when you stand me up. So you know who you are.
Okay.
So what were we talking about?
Well, you were going to give a high level. About
okay.
The patent process.
And that'll be part 2, Business 101, part 2.
Yeah, but just give them a taste so that they know what is going to kind of come out. Right? When you talk about the patent process and not being scared, at a high level, what should they understand?
Don't be scared. Just really, it's not nearly. I think the patent process, out of everything that we've done,
it's probably easiest.
It's been the easiest process we've had.
But see,
I think that is truly because of our attorney.
Right, but so folks in podcast land, so that ties to finding the right counsel, right? In every aspect of your business. Remember I said at the very beginning, you need to sit down and meditate on what the service is or what the product is and what the business is going to be. And there's different avenues or pieces of your business. And so you need to, once you understand all that, figure out, okay, you know what? I know these 3 people that have a level of expertise in operations, or these 3 people that have a level of expertise in the legal side of things, or these 3 people have expertise on the financial side of things. And then you begin to build your village, you begin to build your team on who you can go to get this counsel. Because if you don't do that up front, I'm telling you, you will have days and nights of additional frustration, because being an entrepreneur isn't for everybody, and it's not a simple thing. But you can limit how much headache you have by doing stuff up front and get you some good sleep, up front. And so so we know that this is such a full topic and conversation when it comes to Business 101 for entrepreneurs, and we have some really good stuff to talk about. And we have really we stopped right around the patent piece, patent and trademarking piece of the cycle. So, but we want you guys to hold on, and we'll have podcast number 2 that will go into more in detail
of the patent process,
as well as finishing out this road of entrepreneurship of Business 101.
Right.
But there's some other stuff that we can talk about.
There's first semester Business 101.
And second semester.
Right. And then there's 101. Right.
Right. So, and as Sita had mentioned that, once you hear this, and if there's more questions, don't send a full list of questions and expecting that question to be answered on YouTube or IG.
Or replying. First of all, it takes for me a lot to write an email, but I am not about to answer 20 questions.
We request that you just send us one simple question to say, hey, do you guys, I have some questions about this. I heard this on your podcast. Do you have some time?
Or you just email.
Oh, yeah, and we'll address it.
And we'll address it, and you record the conversation. That's what Zoom is for.
You good.
Right.
So
technology can be your friend.
But no, with all that said, hey, entrepreneurship is for you. Let's go out there and get it. And this is your boy Garrett with your girl Sita from Eye to Eye.
Yay.
And as we always say in parting,
take care. Ooh, take care. Be blessed and be a blessing.
Peace.